Let's see if I can do this. Welcome to a little bit of my history. A lot of you asked why did I start parkour at age 50 something or 48, and yeah, that's a good question. Why would anybody? Usually you start between 5 and 15 if you want to be any good at this sport. When I look back into my childhood, I see myself always as this happy kid roaming outdoors. In fact, I didn't find almost any indoor photos of my childhood. Playing in the garden, trying to learn my bicycle and playing in the dirt, in the mud. I remember my mother said me and my brother, we were the dirtiest kids in all the neighborhood. And she meant this a bit as a compliment because we were basically free to go outdoors because my parents had other things to do. They were very busy in the big house. So up to a certain age I was very happy and free, and one of the things I remember most from my childhood was I climbed trees. I was climbing trees all the time. Sometimes I had to because we had a big garden with lots of apples, plums, cherries, everything. We lived a little bit remote from the other kids and from the school. Basically, there were no kids in an appropriate age to play with me, so I developed my own games to play alone most of the time.
My strategy:
visualize what trees are climbable and then just to go as high as I could. And it felt natural to me. And that's a little bit the way I go with parkour today. So this helped me a lot to develop this attitude of going out alone and trying something and to have the feeling if I can succeed or not. Unfortunately, I don't have any good photos beyond the age of 7 or 8. I had a lot of these redefining phases in my life where I wanted to be a new person and destroyed part of my past, and I think I threw some photos away. When I was at these high trees or I was in the deep bushes, in fact nobody could find me because there were no cell phones. They could only yell at me and asking me if I came. So it was a sense of freedom to be there. So what happened in school later is I was a shy kid. Maybe other kids had the impression that I would not defend myself, and that was basically true because I was brought up in a Pacific way. So they said to me, fighting is not good, don't do it. But one day I discovered I could really push back. And I discovered my strength, my body strength, and also the strength of my mind, because I trained myself in a kind of street martial arts, street fighting, and I discovered through the strength of my body and mind I could win against bigger, stronger, louder boys, and I used it only for defense, I'm sure, and sports gave me something and a strong mind gave me something. So from then on I swam, I cycled, or I ran, and I did push-ups and pull-ups. And later as a student I discovered this mixed martial arts thing. So it was after the reunification of Germany, things were more open, you were allowed to practice karate and other stuff. Basically I could go every day to this martial arts school and learn a different style with a different teacher. I remember being at my studies, which I was not all too often, at university, and being totally tired from training. And I remember having this Wing Chun graduation, and only 2 out of 15 or 20 passed this graduation. And I was one of them. And this was probably the moment when I started to think about a sport profession. But eventually I decided to start a career as an engineer and later in sales of big projects. And it was actually a good thing, it was interesting. working 50 to 60 hours a week and often jetting around in Europe and beyond. There was no way for regular sports like a hobby, but I found my way, often doing my 20 kilometers way to work on my bicycle. Another interesting thing happened. Once I stumbled over a parkour video. It was probably 2006, and this was something I never saw before. A bunch of boys jumping from one rooftop to another. And I had this intense feeling. What would it feel like to be one of them? What would it feel like to be able to do all these things? And to be again part of a secret bunch of people who look normal but do crazy and powerful things. But I didn't start right away with parkour because I didn't yet believe in myself that I could learn this. Things started to change when I lived in Paris. So actually there was not a good way to jog where I lived, Place de la Bastille. And I discovered for the first time in my life my first action sport. I saw all these kids jumping, making noises with their slides and having fun going downstairs. I wanted to learn it. And first time I really started with skates. I wanted to go to work. And I remember this day with the big public strike in Paris. No bus, no tram, no train. As a skier I could perfectly go fast and go curves and so on. But I couldn't stop. Because stopping technique is different than speed. So I used walls, I used lampposts just to stop me somehow, and sometimes I made the turn around the lamppost, and I destroyed my laptop on the second way to work. And I destroyed also my inliners trying to learn crazy tricks. But eventually I started to learn it seriously. So I learned to brake, I learned to jump, I learned to turn, I learned to go stairs. So riding with amazing speeds and crazy reactions over the streets of Paris, with jumps, with going downstairs, with slides, with these wonderful noises you can make with the slide. I had the feeling of being almost a parkour athlete. And it was really wonderful because at the time, the 2000er years, was really a big, good community. At the same time, I started to approach women and girls on the streets. There was a secret men's culture called pick-up community. And for the first time in my life, I trained something I never trained before. I was probably the most active in Paris, or one of the most active guys there, because I really wanted to develop myself. Because in former times I have been a very shy kid, and this was about to change. I was known in Paris in the insider scene as Torero, the guy who approaches more girls than anyone else. I didn't care so much about results like having a girlfriend. I learned to enjoy developing myself. I learned that I could learn things I never had thought possible. And I learned to give a fuck. Or just to don't care what anybody else thinks about me. These are very important personal traits I can use in every situation. Eventually I went back to Germany. I got into martial arts again with another fascinating teacher and with another fascinating story. He lost one hand when he was young, found nobody to teach him in Germany, and went to China for 10 to 15 years to learn with a former teacher of Bruce Lee. So again, I got stuck after a year because there was no community in Leipzig where I lived. I had to travel, I had to pay for everything. And the same happened with rollerblading. I got again into rollerblading, but got stuck because there practically is no community where I live, unlike in France. And so I didn't know what to do sports-wise. Now I was self-employed, I could plan a little bit better, and I didn't know what was next. So fortunately I got into calisthenics, something I didn't even know existed before. At least I didn't know the name. And I primarily started it to gain more stability of my upper body, because when falling on rollerblades, my falls got bigger because my jumps got bigger. So I felt a bit helpless. I discovered this amazing ebook, or a bunch of ebooks, 3 ebooks, and I downloaded them immediately. It's about a prisoner who develops himself, and eventually he does amazing feats, amazing things. I read for 2 days and then I stopped. And it was on 11/15. I went outside every single day and I did my exercises. And in these books there are 10 steps to front flip, 10 steps to back flip, 10 steps to everything you could imagine. So, and I forgot about rollerblading completely. I filled my training logbook every day with little accomplishments. So I restarted push-ups like this. Yes. And pull-ups like this. Imagine here's a bar. And because I didn't have much upper body strength at the moment. But after 4 months, I made a video called 4 Monate Calisthenics. And it's still on my YouTube channel, it's the very first. It was amazing that I could do 20 pull-ups in sets of 1, for instance, and I had a lot of fun. But of course, as you know me, I got stuck and sidetracked again, because exercises started to be boring, and I looked for something new, and this time the idea of parkour seemed more realistic to me. So I enriched my calisthenics training with little rolls and precision jumps. My real starting moment for parkour was a dark, cold, rainy day. It was 16/11/16. Sitting in a cafe, and I had the exciting inspiration to watch parkour videos. And this time I watched tutorials. How to get bald. The excitement was growing and I went outside. No matter if it was dark, cold, rainy, slippery. And I actually filmed myself learning vaults to the light of street lanterns. Shortly before, I had also started my Instagram account and started posting regularly. Basically a 5-year road of progression started then till now. But that's stuff for another video. Another fact, enjoying myself. So, have an exciting day. Thanks for watching. Keep fit, keep healthy, and keep happy.